Over the past couple of years, we have explored the adventures of Silverglade, we have unlocked Mistfall and the windswept shores of Southhoof. But what about the heart of Jorvik itself? Have you ever looked at the bus stop in Dundal and find yourself thinking about where does this road actually lead? And where does the train in Governor's Fall actually come from? Jorvik City is often mentioned in dialogue, referenced in quests, and we have some access to it, yet it has never been fully revealed. I really wonder about the city of Jorvik and its central regions that we have yet to unlock. In this video, we are diving deep into the hidden world of Jorvik's urban heart, the lore, the theories, and what Jorvik City's existence could mean for the future of Star Stable. Because if history has taught us anything, it is that the Star Stable team and Jorvik is full of surprises, and this city might just be the biggest one yet. The 7th of December 2016, Jorvik City was released as an area in Star Stable. With the release of this area, we were able to unlock 3 new areas. The first area is Governor's Fall, which is considered the rich district in Jorvik City, with tall houses, exclusive boutiques, and also presumably the Star Stable headquarters. The second one is Aideen's Plaza, which is the oldest district that is known for its iconic statue of Aideen, which is located right in the middle of the plaza. Third is Pier 13, which is a small pier that contains a warehouse and some workers. But in February 2015, which was the year before these 3 areas were released, Jorvik Mall was released, which is also in Jorvik City. The mall contains 4 shops and also has a lot of closed shops. Previously, the Star Stable artist Raptor would visit the mall frequently, but this event it's long over, though we can still find his stage there and some posters, I think. The mall used to be a very important place in Star Stable as the shops included a lot of clothes and tech popular amongst players, but after the release of the global shop in Star Stable, which allows you to get clothes from basically anywhere, the number of players attending the mall has dropped significantly, and now if you go and visit the mall, there's almost no players there anymore. And it's weird because I remember when I was playing Star Stable before, the mall used to always be blooming with people, and it might also be because of the player drop in Star Stable, but still it used to be a lot more important place than what it is now. You also used to have to catch the bus in Fort Pinta in order to get to the mall, and make sure that you had your bus card with you, and if you couldn't reach the bus, you'd have to wait for the next bus. However, this mechanic was replaced with an interactive sign that shows you the Jorvik City menu, as we now have in Fort Pinta, Dundal, Jarlaheim, New Hillcrest, and Cape West. So Jorvik City is the capital of Jorvik, and in Star Stable Online, Jorvik City looks like this. In this map, we can see the different locations, which are Jorvik City Mall, Aideen's Plaza, Governor's Fall, and Pier 13. So these are the only places that are accessible to us, but they aren't the only places to exist in Jorvik City. Although we can't see Jorvik City on our regular map, we do have an idea of where Jorvik City is in relation to our map. In my last video, I used a map from the Star Stable book series, and although the book series and its map is not completely canon anymore, the map is still somewhat correct. How we know the map from previous games, and everything, it's still geographically somewhat correct. If we look at this map, we can see where Jorvik City is in relation to our map. So technically, if you were to go through Mistfall, you would eventually end up in Jorvik City. In Mistfall, there is a tunnel by the bus stop that is theorized to lead to Jorvik City, but this is yet to be confirmed. But it would make sense as that is where the bus goes through, or that's where the bus stop is, so it would make sense. However, you can see that the scale of this map is a little weird, because in this map, Jorvik City looks really small. If we look at the Jorvik City map, we see that if Jorvik City really is the size that it is displayed as in the book, then the central area of Jorvik must be really, really big. But what really is central Jorvik? This is a player-made map where someone has tried to fit the real size of Jorvik city into Jorvik. And to be honest, this looks a little bit more correct in the book, but I think maybe the city should have been a little smaller. But yeah, central Jorvik, according to this map, consists of Jorvik city, some forests, and Northshire. And that is pretty much it for this area, which is weird because there's such a big area of nothingness. But at the same time, I think this map was made in 2018, and there's already been a lot of changes done to it. So as I said, this map isn't canon anymore, because as you can see, we have Tailtop Village is really here, and just this map is just not correct anymore. But still, so it seems that these areas that are actually empty are areas where Star Stable hasn't actually decided what is going to be there yet. And I understand that they wouldn't add Tailtop Village in before its release, but at the same time, they have also added other areas that don't exist in Star Stable right now, like for example the whole Winter Valley, Mystic Valley, Meander Village places. They've added them into the map, so I don't know, it wouldn't really seem like a spoiler to me to have Tailtop Village in there. I think that honestly, Tailtop Village was just created on the spot, like randomly one day. I talked about this in my last video, how I really dislike Tailtop Village, and a lot of you in the comments agree with me and wanted to see a video on that. But honestly, like, maybe I'll make one, but I feel like it's just so negative. Like, I'm so negative towards Tailtop Village, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings that really like it, but yeah, I just think it's like, it's literally Star Stable came up with it on the spot, and this map kind of proves it because like Tailtop Village wasn't here, and this was in 2018. So yeah, anyways, there are a lot of locations in Jorvik City that we can't access, which we can simply see by looking at the map. There's also places that we kind of know that exist in Jorvik City, like for example Star Academy. Star Academy is a previous game that is also set in Jorvik, but it doesn't exactly follow the same storyline as Star Stable, Starshine Legacy, and Star Stable Online. So even though Star Academy is supposed to be in Jorvik City, it probably doesn't even exist within the Star Stable Online universe, because it's in the same universe kind of, but at the same time it's not, because it's basically like a parallel world to Star Stable and Starshine Legacy, I feel like. But anyways, it's set in Jorvik City, and the Star Academy map looks like this. And I believe that this map is believed to be a depiction of Jorvik City, as it also has the same 3 pier-like areas and the mountain chain in the back, though it's not completely accurate, as the Jorvik stables in this map is the building right here in the back, and in reality the Jorvik stables are a lot more further away from Jorvik City. Throughout the older Star Stable games, the Jorvik stables was depicted to be like in the city almost, and this is not the only game that does this, where the Jorvik stable is in the city. But now obviously in Star Stable Online, Jorvik Stables is very far away from the city, and that doesn't make sense because like it doesn't match up with previous placements of it. I think it might also have been because in Starshine Legacy, for example, we didn't really have the other areas of Jorvik, like Jorvik wasn't as big, so it made sense to have the Jorvik Stables very close to the city. But for us, like in Star Stable Online, it's not really, so I don't think it's a separate stable. I think it's just that Star Stable decided to put the stable in a different place, and that's why it's like that. Though the Governor's Plaza, which contains Leonardo's ice cream bar, is located about the same place in the Star Stable Online map as the ice cream bar in this map. But the mall is a little further down on this map than in the SSO map. The Jorvik City School is also supposed to be right by the mountains, but in the Star Stable Online there doesn't really seem to be a school at all. It's just this like building, so it's clear that the locations of the games are different, and the idea of Jorvik City isn't completely solid throughout the series. But at the same time, as I said, Star Academy isn't really canon in the Star Stable lore because it's not really the same world. So that would kind of explain why this school isn't there, possibly, but yeah. So the Starshine Legacy map also looks similar to the Star Academy map, but it looks a lot less like Jorvik City and more just like a compressed version of Jorvik. Though the Jorvik High School and Jorvik Stables is about the same spot as in Star Academy. So again, like here, we can obviously see that this is not how Star Stable looks for us now. Like, you can recognize a couple of elements, but this is not the way that we know Star Stable. In this game, Jorvik was a lot more compressed world. As you can see, the whole world is kind of like on this little island. Now, obviously, for us now, Star Stable is a lot bigger than this, but it's basically just a compressed version. Here again, the Jorvik Stables are like basically right in the city, which is weird, but you know, this is Jorvik City, basically, in the older games. And you can tell by this kind of like mountain thing, and you can also see that there's some other buildings here that we don't really recognize. I don't remember what this blue building is supposed to be. Please write in the comments if you remember that, because I don't. But yeah, this is Jorvik City, but the old version. Now for the Jorvik City furniture shop debacle. And I know that a lot of you guys wanted me to mention this because I saw so many comments on it in my last video that this was so weird, and we're gonna talk about it. In an older quest in the Star Stable Online, players were given these 3 items: a barrel, a paint bucket, and a couch. These items were labeled piece of furniture for use in the future, which set the Star Stable community in an absolute frenzy. At the same time, players started to take notice to one of the shops in Governor's Fall. This shop was presumably a furniture store, and the store had big signs that read opening soon. This store also stood out from other decoy stores and normal stores as it actually had clear windows with display items, which no other inaccessible stores had at the time. This made the Star Stable community sold on the idea that we were getting apartments in Star Stable Online. And at the time, if you played Star Stable at the time, you will remember this, that there was a lot of speculation about this, and many people were completely convinced that we would have apartments in Jorvik City for our characters to live in. And a lot of people, including me, was so excited for this because, like, I remember this time period. I talked with my friend and I was like, oh my god, we're definitely getting apartments soon. Like, we were actually completely convinced that there's no other way. But if you look at it, it really seems like it. Like, why would they do all of this if we weren't getting apartments? Though the thing is that time just kept going on and we never really had any apartments. There wasn't really news posts or anything supporting this idea, so a lot of people started being like kind of annoyed because we basically had gotten this teaser and then it just never came. But one day Star Stable released a blog post where game director Stacy Place wrote, "Some time ago, we began a project much like one I had discussed with you recently, home stable customization. Unfortunately, the ambition and chaos of this project manifested in a way that we didn't feel was right for Jorvik and was hardly our best work to put forward. The user interface and overall user experience were difficult to navigate, and the sheer amount of bugs and technical difficulties created were too severe to move forward with. A decision was made to pull the plug on the project and revisit it at a more appropriate time," which basically means that Star Stable was planning to give us some sort of apartment or home, but they pulled the plug on it because it wasn't doable, you know? But this whole furniture debacle was definitely a Star Stable Roman Empire of some sorts, but we have generally concluded because of this that we will not be getting apartments anytime soon, or ever really. I don't know. I think that it would be cool to have apartments, but honestly, I just don't really know what I would do with it, you know? Like, I don't know if I would even visit my apartment, probably not, unless there was something to do there, but it would be cool to have. And, you know, they even said that they were possibly revisiting this later, and that's probably possible, but I don't think it would be here anytime soon. We just started getting home stable decoration, and not too long ago even, which is still coming along. And we also have kind of gotten home with the release of the Moorland Riding Camp. Many people believe that the room that we can enter in the riding camp is our room, because if you didn't know, our character arrived to Jorvik originally only to attend the riding camp for the summer. So we can basically say that we have gotten our own place with this little home. And actually, I like to go there sometimes. It kind of feels like homey. January 2025 blog post, which was an interview with the CEO of Star Stable, Johan Sjöberg. He talks about the revamp the SSO team did on the older games such as Starshine Legacy and Star Academy. If you didn't know, the Star Stable Online team did kind of like a revamp of the older games. Some of you actually asked me in the previous video, where can I play these older games? And it's perfect because now actually Star Stable has created a way to play these games without having to download them or without having to have the CD or anything. You can actually play it in Star Stable's website. So like in the browser you can play it. And the CEO is talking about this, and he goes on to say, there are still many locations that I love in these games that haven't made it into Star Stable Online, and that I would love to see them there when the time is right, which definitely hints that we will be seeing areas that we canonically know from older games in Star Stable Online. Just like I talked about in my last video about Mystic Valley, how we basically have all of these areas that we know exist canonically, but we haven't gotten them in the game yet. And this counts for Jorvik City too, because Jorvik City is a place that we canonically know as to have more areas than what we see, and we might have more areas there that we can unlock. In a questline where the player needs to borrow the harp of Aideen, a place called Jorvik City Museum is introduced. In the quest, Godfrey says that he will take us to the museum, and then we are showed a loading screen that shows a picture of a city with the text saying, "To Jorvik City," which basically means that museum is in Jorvik City. When we get to the museum, we are accompanied by Lisa and Linda, who is with us to meet the museum curator. The museum is a big space with black walls and many windows, but an unfinished interior, as there are boxes and shelves like all around, but it looks like a pretty fancy place with these big like fence things and pillars. The museum curator explains that the museum is currently closed due to refurbishment, and the dialogue with the curator explains that the museum is in fact normally open and has a collection. So that means that we do actually have a running museum in Jorvik City. But the exact location of it is unknown, as it's not normally accessible to us. We have only gotten access to it this one time in this quest. In the quest, we were able to see some of the items the museum holds, and it was mostly old artifacts, similar to the ones that we find in the archaeology quests. So does this suggest that there may be a museum in the future? Maybe. But as far as we know, this museum already exists in Jorvik, and Star Stable just hasn't made it available to us yet. And as of now, its existence, as I said, is purely for a one-time questline. But it would be cool to have an interactive museum in relation to the archaeology quests, for example. But to be honest, I don't think this is something to expect in the future unless Star Stable reworks archaeology quests, but yeah, there's still a possibility. I would really like to hear what you guys think about this museum quest, as I have no idea what it possibly could be if we got quests relating to the museum and actually unlocked it as a location, because unless the archaeology quests rework or the city got a rework, there's really no way that we would get it just randomly one day, just like get museum quests. But yeah, it is actually a location. We know that it is in Jorvik City, we just don't know where it is. Looking at the map, I don't really know, like probably isn't even depicted in this map, but yeah, no. In my opinion, one of the most exciting things that could possibly happen to Jorvik City is if it was made into an open area, and as of now we only have these 4 locations that we can access, and there's no way to go between the areas other than taking the bus or the tram. I think it would be really cool if Jorvik City became an open world area like the rest of Jorvik, and we were able to roam around the places freely. But then again, this would make it so that our horses have to be able to go there too if it was an extension of the map, so we could go into this area and we had to have bring our horses because it's an open area. But at the same time, they could also just make a block so that we can't go in with our horses. But yeah, At the same time, they could also make Jorvik City like a separate world, but just open, of course. I don't know, it's a big area. It's a big area, but at the same time, Jorvik itself is also a big area, so it's not that they have problems with creating a big area. I just don't think that they have enough ideas to fill in the whole area, which is why we have these separate areas and also like neighborhoods. Though I'm not sure how this would work with the mall and stuff, and it would probably require a massive rework, which I really doubt that Star Stable would ever do that, considering how we have seen the new team work. I actually don't think that Star Stable would ever take on such a massive project. It also doesn't really seem like Jorvik City is a big focus for the Star Stable team as of now, as we rarely see any activity there. All in all, there's definitely a lot of potential updates to come in relation to Jorvik City. But as of now, these updates, especially the map extension, seems to be far away, as the Star Stable team seems to have abandoned the Jorvik City area in its entirety. If you feel like I missed something in this video, please feel free to write it in the comments and let us know. I always love hearing you guys' theories and ideas for the game. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like to consider watching my other videos, they are pretty similar to this one, but about other topics relating to Star Stable Online. So yeah, have a good night/day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!